Ever wondered where the American Christmas traditions originated from? The answer may surprise you. While many perceive Christmas as a deeply religious holiday, the traditions we're familiar with today didn't start out as spiritual as they are now. In fact, the celebration of Christmas as we know it, with its decorated trees and gift-giving, originated in German towns around the year 1800. For centuries, Europeans had been commemorating the birth of Jesus through church services and religious ceremonies. But the way they celebrated was quite different from our modern customs. Imagine a time when there were no twinkling Christmas trees, no brightly wrapped presents waiting to be opened on December 24th. This was the reality for most of Europe until the late 18th century. It wasn't until the 1830s that these traditions made their way across the Atlantic to North America. So how did this transformation occur? It all started with German families in Brooklyn, New York. Charles Haswell, an engineer and chronicler of everyday life, wrote about his experiences witnessing these families decorating their Christmas trees with lights and ornaments. He was so intrigued by this new custom that he braved a stormy and wet night just to catch a glimpse of these festive trees through the windows of private homes. But these traditions weren't just about aesthetics. They were also about establishing a new middle-class culture of egalitarianism. Instead of gifts being brought by a mystical figure, they were openly exchanged among family members. This was a stark departure from the Christian religious practices of the time. Furthermore, the idea of placing wax candles on an evergreen tree was actually inspired by pagan traditions. The lighting of bonfires on the winter solstice, the darkest day of the year, was intended to guide the sun on its journey home. The lit Christmas tree was essentially a domesticated version of these bonfires. So, the Christmas customs we're familiar with today have their roots in Europe. But how did they evolve and make their way to America? Stay tuned as we delve deeper into the journey of Christmas traditions in the next segment. Did you know the first Christmas trees were not a part of Christian religious practices? Yes, you heard that right. The tradition of decorating Christmas trees, a hallmark of modern Christmas celebrations, has its roots in Germany in the late 1790s, but it wasn't tied to Christian customs. This new holiday practice emerged independently, inspired by pagan traditions of celebrating the winter solstice. On the shortest and darkest day of the year, the 21st of December, people would light bonfires to symbolize the return of the sun and to guide it home. The idea of placing wax candles on an evergreen tree was essentially a domesticated version of these bonfires, a beacon of light in the heart of winter. The decorations used on these early Christmas trees were simple yet charming. Ornaments and wax candles adorned the branches of the trees, casting a warm, inviting glow. The English poet Samuel Taylor Coleridge was one of the first to describe such a tree. In 1799, he reported seeing a beautifully decorated Christmas tree in a private home in Ratzeburg, a town in northwestern Germany. By 1816, the tradition of the Christmas tree was firmly established in German culture. German poet E.T.A. Hoffmann captured the essence of this tradition in his famous story, Nutcracker and Mouse King. This tale contains the very first literary record of a Christmas tree decorated with apples, sweets, and lights. Alongside the Christmas tree, another tradition was taking shape, gift-giving. Unlike today, where a mystical figure often delivers gifts, these early German celebrations saw gifts openly exchanged among family members. This practice symbolized the burgeoning middle-class culture of egalitarianism, where every member of the family, including children, were expected to participate. Interestingly, the tradition of gift-giving was also a part of this new Christmas culture. But how did these traditions cross the Atlantic? Stay tuned as we delve into how these German roots found fertile ground on American soil, shaping the Christmas traditions we know and love today. American Christmas traditions owe a lot to German customs, but how did they get here? In the first half of the 19th century, American visitors to Germany found themselves charmed by the unique Christmas customs they witnessed. The spectacle of decorated trees, the exchange of gifts, the unity it brought to families, all of it was a stark contrast to their own, more somber holiday observances. One of the first to recognize the potential of these German traditions in fostering a national culture was Harvard professor George Ticknor. In the year 1835, Ticknor and his 12-year-old daughter Anna were guests at the home of Count von Ungern-Sternberg in Dresden. They partook in the German Christmas celebration, an experience so deeply impactful that Ticknor couldn't help but praise its potential to consolidate a shared culture, a sense of unity, a national identity. Other American visitors shared Ticknor's sentiment. Charles Loring Brace, for instance, had the opportunity to witness a Christmas celebration in Berlin some 20 years later. He too saw the unifying potential of this festival, considering it a specific German tradition that could pull people together. These Americans were not just passive observers, though. They were active participants, captivated by the German Christmas spirit and eager to bring a piece of it back home. And indeed, they did. They carried these customs across the Atlantic, planting the seeds of what would grow into the quintessential American Christmas traditions. These traditions were not simply adopted wholesale, though. They were assimilated, modified, and embellished over time, shaped by the American context and the evolving cultural milieu. But at their core, they remained true to their German roots, a testament to the enduring appeal of the Christmas customs that so captivated the likes of Ticknor and Brace. So, it seems the German Christmas traditions found a new home in America. But how did they evolve into the celebrations we know today? America adopted the German traditions, but how did they evolve into the Christmas we celebrate today? When Christmas traditions first crossed the Atlantic, they were primarily brought over by German immigrants. However, these traditions were not immediately adopted by the broader American public. It wasn't until the mid-19th century that the Christmas tree, a symbol of the holiday season, began to appear in American homes, largely thanks to the influence of Queen Victoria's German husband, Prince Albert. In the early days, Christmas trees were decorated with homemade ornaments, fruits, and nuts. As mass production took hold in the late 19th century, Americans started to adorn their trees with imported German ornaments and later with American-made decorations. Gift-giving, another tradition that originated from Germany, also underwent a transformation. Initially, gifts were exchanged openly among family members, symbolizing the culture of egalitarianism. But as the tradition evolved in America, a new character was introduced into the Christmas narrative: Santa Claus. Derived from the Dutch figure of Sinterklaas, Santa Claus was popularized by the poem A Visit from St. Nicholas, better known as The Night Before Christmas, and he became the mystical figure associated with gift-giving. Furthermore, Christmas in America became a holiday of great economic significance. The act of gift-giving spurred commercialization, with businesses encouraging consumers to buy gifts as a way of showing love and appreciation. Over time, this led to the birth of the holiday shopping season, which now begins as early as November. Finally, the tradition of attending church services and religious ceremonies, while not unique to America, gained prominence as Christmas was recognized as a federal holiday in 1870. This reinforced the religious significance of the holiday, reminding Americans of the spiritual roots of Christmas amidst its commercialized nature. So, from Germany to America, Christmas traditions have traveled and evolved, bringing joy and unity along the way. The journey of Christmas traditions is a fascinating tale of cultural exchange and evolution. Our Yuletide voyage began in German towns around the turn of the 18th century, where the first Christmas trees adorned with wax candles and ornaments made their appearance. This new holiday practice, inspired by the pagan tradition of celebrating the winter solstice with bonfires, was a departure from Christian religious practices. It was a domesticated version of these bonfires, a beacon of light during the darkest days of the year. The Christmas tree was not the only novelty in these early celebrations. The tradition of gift-giving also took root in German soil. Unlike the mystical figures that we associate with the delivery of presents today, gifts were openly exchanged among family members. This symbolized the burgeoning middle-class culture of egalitarianism. From Germany, these traditions crossed the Atlantic to reach American shores in the mid-19th century. American visitors to Germany, like Harvard professor George Ticknor, recognized the potential of these celebrations for nation-building. Ticknor, for instance, was the first American to participate in a German Christmas celebration, lauding its usefulness in fostering a national culture. In America, these traditions evolved in their new cultural context. The Christmas tree, once a German novelty, became an American staple. Gift-giving, initially a symbol of middle-class egalitarianism, transformed into a widespread practice embodying the spirit of generosity and goodwill. This journey of Christmas traditions is a testament to the power of cultural exchange. It demonstrates how traditions can traverse borders, adapt to new environments, and become integral parts of our celebrations. These traditions, rooted in history and adapted over centuries, continue to evolve and resonate with the spirit of the times. So, the next time you celebrate Christmas, remember the centuries-old journey these traditions have taken to bring joy to your holiday season.